marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready? When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is a blessing. When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed, and I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Every morning, I rise, I stare at the sun. I know it is. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Your Voices. Of course, it is definitely always a pleasure being back in studio with you. And yes, as we continue celebrating women throughout the month of March, today is definitely no different, as I have a young lady in studio with me this afternoon, and she is so involved with technology, something that we all might even have a problem with today. But this young lady has made her roots in technology and continues to grow in it today. And so today I have with me Miss Anna-Kaye Boodho, who is the general manager of a tech company that she will be telling us about. So good afternoon to you, Miss Boodho.
Good afternoon, Edisa.
How are you today?
No, I asked you first.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you.
Okay. Miss Boodho is not from our community of Soufre. However, she actually has some roots in Soufre that I think that is safe to say.
Yeah, it's safe to
Persons
say.
might know her as a past teacher of SCSS for some time. And so, of course, she is welcomed as family. So, Miss Boodho, take a chance right now, and I would just like you to share with persons who you are.
Okay, so like Edisa said, my name is Anna-Kaye Boodho. I'm the general manager of Orbtronics Limited. We're a tech company that's founded and based in St. Lucia. However, we operate regionally. We create websites, we create apps, we create prototypes for people with ideas, and we facilitate STEM education workshops. By profession, I'm a math teacher, like you said, and my adopted school is Super Comprehensive Secondary. They're very close to my heart.
Right.
Um, but I also have other passions, and one of those is robotics, and that's how I found my way to this company, and started working here.
Okay. So nice. In a nutshell, you just gave us so much. So we see you are a lover of math, a lover of technology.
Hmm.
So knowing that right now, you have a passion for both, which one would you say are you solely more involved to?
More involved in. I would say technology, and that's just because I'm no longer a math teacher. If I was still a math teacher, I'd say math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And right now is technology the only thing that you focus on in terms of work?
Okay, no. So while my primary job would be technology based, I also have another job where I work with the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports as a youth worker for the area of Youth North.
Right.
And I also volunteer, and I'm part of one or two environmental groups.
Okay, nice. So we see the balance that you're involved in your technology, you're involved in math, and
Mhm.
you're also involved in youth development, community development. So there's a
Yes,
general balance, even when it comes to self development as well. So kudos to
definitely.
you, why am I calling you Nayam? Anaki.
Yes.
Anna-Kaye, and I want you to just continue with that balance. It is very difficult sometimes for us young persons to actually get a balance. So you are
You
definitely on the
telling
right
me?
track. So keep that going. So I would like to know though, how does it feel to be a woman in technology?
Sometimes it can feel a bit lonely, but other times it feels empowering, especially when you work with young girls and they tell you that they've never seen anybody doing what you're doing. And, they look up to you as a role model, they look to you for advice, for mentorship. It makes me happy to know that I'm able to do that for them because I didn't have that when I started.
Okay. And have you ever felt like you were not good enough in terms of you going into technology, knowing that technology is something that you find males being a little more um, enthusiastic about?
Well, this is not really only applicable to technology, but I'm good enough for anything I want to be involved in. So, no, I've never felt that way.
Okay, nice. So again, with you also mentioning that you are a youth worker,
Hmm.
just to put aside the technology part of it, just to have persons understand, what exactly do you do as a youth worker in Beaufort North?
Okay, so the role of a youth worker is essentially to function as a liaison between the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, which would be the government, and grassroots programs, clubs, and organizations in your zone. So, what I would do, or what I am doing as a youth worker, is checking in on those clubs, seeing how they're doing, speaking to people in the community, doing data collection, making sure
Nice.
that there's documentation of things that are happening in Beaufort North, setting up district youth and sports committees in order to further the development of the youth and sports scene in your zone, and just generally helping young people better themselves. So whether it be resume writing, job like employment finding help, connecting them to training programs,
Right.
getting them involved in courses, you know, even little things like, okay, they need a reference. Although I don't really feel like I qualified to write references, but
You
you
do.
know, little things like maybe, they need somebody to come and support them at one of their shows or something that they're doing. Like, you just be that person. Obviously, you can't do everything for everybody, but where you can, you do.
Okay, so nice, Anarchy. And of course, it is nice to see that you are solely involved in your community and persons could actually reach out to you for assistance, whether it be for referrals, resume writing assistance, and more. Um, Again, it is nice to see that you have a general balance. And so there are different areas that you could actually use your skills. So, with you being a youth worker and
Hmm.
having such a vast knowledge when it comes to technology. How do you plan on using that knowledge in your job right now?
Okay, so I have found that there is several ways to cross over technology and youth work. And some of them don't necessarily just apply to youth work, but also to just different types of jobs. So productivity is a big one. Instead of maybe writing everything down, I use automated lists, I make spreadsheets, I do graphs, but not by my, like, I don't do the graph myself. I just set up the spreadsheet to feed into a graph, and it saves you time and it gives you like a quick way to wrap up your reports at the end of the month. You could use digital forms if you're trying to collect information from people. So after you've done that initial contact, you have their WhatsApp or you have their email. You could always just send a form across instead of going around with paper and then people have to stand up and fill out a questionnaire for you. Although some people might prefer the paper, and that's
Right.
fine too. But for those who don't, you could take care of a huge chunk of that work just by sending out a form link. When it comes to youth development, I believe that one of the biggest skills of the 21st century is not really anything to do with a specific tech platform, but just the ability to be adaptable.
Right.
So, whatever situation you're placed in, you're able to take note or take stock of your surroundings. You know what you need, you know what you have, and you know what you have to do in order to get to where you want to go. So, when it comes to that skill, it works very well in like the tech field because they're always looking for people who are innovative, creative, and who are able to look at a problem and think of an answer. And then it also works well in whatever other um, field that you might want to go into for employment. Like if you work in the hotel industry, or if you work in education, or if you work Ministry of Infrastructure, you see a problem, you think of a solution, you're able to communicate that, you're able to show people like there's a better way to do things. So when it comes to that crossover in the programs that I do as a youth worker, I encourage students to learn that skill, but also I try to do tech programs with the students, or young people of the community as well.
Okay, nice. And it is nice to see, of course, that with your knowledge, you are able to do so much, and not just for
Yeah.
yourself, but also for those around you. And it is nice again, and okay, to see that you can do so much. Um, it is not often again that you get young women who are solely interested in technology, or even have a bright understanding of how you could go about using technology. Now, I know that this year's Women's Month theme was actually geared mainly around women in technology. And the theme was innovation and technology for gender equality.
Right.
So, just tell us, what does this theme mean to you?
I think innovation and technology are a great way to bridge not just things like the gender pay gap, but also gender unemployment. I think, if I remember correctly, don't quote me on this, but not necessarily in St. Lucia, but in a lot of countries, women are unemployed a lot. A lot more women are unemployed than men. Maybe because sometimes we have to stay home with the children, but innovation and technology has made it possible for you to work from home, whether it be a full time or a part time job. So, in doing that, you empower women by helping them support their family financially, and also finding something to do maybe in their downtime during the day. And I also think that when it comes to the pay gap, it helps us improve our earning abilities, because you find that there are a lot of high paying jobs in tech. And as a woman, while there might always be discrimination in workplaces, it does make those high paying jobs more accessible,
Right.
especially since you don't necessarily need the most schooling, or you don't necessarily need the most experience in order to get into the field and to grow rapidly from your starting point.
Right.
So people who have, well, not people, women who have maybe had to drop out of school because they had a child, or had to drop out of school for other reasons, or maybe they have some medical condition and they're always feeling sick, they would also be able to make use of those opportunities because of the level of flexibility it offers, and the low barriers to entry into those jobs.
Okay, thank you so much. And again, I actually had that as a question as to how we could go about using technology as women. I have a
Mm-hmm.
similar question which will come later on, so you might reiterate some of the things that you just said. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for that. I am a firm believer that technology can definitely bridge that gap when it comes to the when it comes to gender.
Mm-hmm.
I think too many times we like to doubt the things that technology can do,
Mm-hmm.
but in today's generation, it is evident that it could definitely do so much. And so that is why I love encouraging persons to use technology.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ever too old to use technology or make your way out with technology. It's all about how you go about doing it. So I always encourage that we use it the right way and for the right things. So again, it is nice that this year's theme was mainly focused on innovation and technology, and basically wanting to break that gap when it comes to gender.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much again for that, Anna-Kaye. And of course, you've given us so much so far about women and how we can use technology. You being a woman, how you have used technology,
Mm-hmm.
also in your line of work as a youth worker. Um, Tell us a little more about you being a general manager.
Oh, okay. Well, it is a big responsibility. There are a lot of things that need to happen for a company to run well. But I have a lot of support. My The founders of Optronics, Keegan, Patrick, and Siobhan Rosary, they're always there along every step of the way. Whether I need help or I need somebody to catch up on something for me, or we have a project and I need some additional assistance, they're always available and willing to help. So it hasn't been, it's not the easiest job, but with support, it is very manageable.
Okay. And tell us a little more again about your business. Mind just pronouncing the name of the tech business one more time.
Optronics,
Optronics. Okay.
yes.
So just give us again some details about Optronics and what do you guys do? The main focus.
Okay, so our main focus is to change the tech landscape regionally, starting with St. Lucia, which is where we are right now. So when it comes to things like digitizing services and making STEM education accessible for young people and older people alike, not I mean our focus for some of those STEM programs, not all, is young people, but we welcome people of all ages and all walks of life.
Right.
Yes, once you're interested, there are programs available to you. And even if you don't fit into one of our programs, we also keep a lookout for other programs that might come up, not just here, but also online, sorry.
Right.
So you'd also get a notification of those if that is something that you're interested in. We have several partnerships, so we do consultancies as well, as website building for clients, for organizations, for businesses, app building for the same range of audiences, and also rapid prototyping. And I kind of want to get a little more into this one because it's not something that people really talk about.
Right.
But one of the things, if anybody has gone to science fair, or they've been a science student in the school, you'll notice that one of the things that affects the quality of the continuity of the subject as a student is sometimes you have an idea, but the resources for you to carry out that idea or for you to test out that idea are inaccessible.
Right.
And even when there is a way for you to do it, it might be very inefficient, take a lot of time, take a lot of money, and then you still won't get the result that you want in the end.
Sure.
So with rapid prototyping, what we've done is our founders are both mechanical engineers, so they use their knowledge, their expertise, and their network in order to have a consultation with a client and kind of work out what the idea is, like have a complete understanding of the idea, and then they're able from there to create a prototype for the client. So if you have an idea about a machine or I'm trying to think of ideas that are not bound by my NDA.
Right.
But if you have an idea, maybe for some machine or contraption, and you know how it's going to work, maybe you've drawn out some pictures, but you want to actually build one
Right.
as your minimum viable product, meaning the functional version of your idea, in order to whether it is apply for more funding or enter a competition or just see if it works and see if it's something that's viable for you to make a business out of,
Right.
we offer that service.
Okay. And I have a quick question
Sure.
for my own curiosity. So you said if someone is interested in building up something, you
Mhm.
guys would basically do the prototype.
Mhm.
Right.
Prototype and documentation.
Right. Mind give me an example of something that maybe someone has come with that you guys have done.
I'm not legally allowed to talk about those.
Okay. But okay, so
um
let me give an
okay,
example.
yeah.
So what if I come and I said that I would like to maybe create a lamp or
Mhm.
something of that sort. I know how I want it to work, where
Mhm.
maybe I wanted playing music in the evening times so that my baby boy could sleep.
Right.
Um, would you guys be able to grant me that assistance by providing the prototype and whatnot?
Yes, so it's a process. You'd come in, you'd say what you want, you'd say how you want it, you'd say the main thing would just be what features you want this thing to have. And then once you've given us that information, we can take it from there to look up what materials we could use to create that product for you, look at the prices, look at how, like, which material would be suited best. And when we've graded those, given them ratings, you as the client could look and say, well, I know this one is a bit expensive, but that's the quality I want, so let's go with this one. And once you've selected all the things that you want to use according to your budget, we would be able to move forward with the prototyping process. And even with the prototyping process, the client is still heavily involved, because at the end of the day, it is your idea, it's in your head. So we still need you there to look at the progress, say, yes, this is how I envisioned it. No, this is not how I envisioned it, but this seems to be the best way to make it work, and stuff like that. And then at the end of it all, you would give your final stamp of approval, you'd pay your balance for the service, and then the prototype is yours.
Okay, nice. So if someone is interested in actually getting something done, where are you guys at a physical location, or is there another way to reach you?
No, we're not currently at a physical location just yet, but if someone is interested in getting a prototype done, they can visit our website at www.orbtronics.co, or they can message me at 486 0469, or they can visit any of our social media pages. That would be on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn at Obtronics Limited. And they could just message us on there, and we would get back to them within the day. Well, the business day, not the weekend.
Yes.
We'd get back to them within the day with steps on how to proceed with their request.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for that, Aniki. And also, I mean, I know that you guys have been doing a lot in terms of um, within the schools,
All
right?
right,
Mind
yes.
telling us a little more about your school projects and how that went?
Okay, well, the involvement within the schools is not really a project per se. It's just that we enjoy exposing students to the opportunities that are available. So we do try when we're called upon to provide opportunities for students.
Right.
So the last one that we did was for International Women's Day at Convent. I went there and we had a little session on robotics. We got the kids, they were able to build some bots, they were able to look at a bot from a previous competition and how it worked, and also have a conversation about the opportunities that are there, not just in robotics, but in STEM and STEAM in general.
Right.
Um, so we do that at the schools. At the moment, it's been the schools contacting us when they'd like us to come and visit for the day or have a session with the students. But apart from that, moving forward, we do have educational programs coming up. It'll be the third year that we're having that digital literacy program. And I think the second year that we're having the summer program. So one would be to encourage digital literacy among entrepreneurs, school leavers, anyone in that group there, anybody who wants to improve on how they use technology, or they want to improve on um how they behave, like their online presence, or they want to learn marketing software, or they want to learn accounting software for their business, whatever it is. Well, whatever it is within the topics that we offer,
Right.
they'd be able to access those at the digital literacy program. The summer program is geared towards secondary school students, and this one would be in the areas of robotics and programming, I believe. And then also throughout the year, you have different programs from different organizations. I mean, Ministry of Education has stuff sometimes. NTRC has stuff sometimes. External organizations have stuff sometimes. I believe the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports also has initiatives coming up. Maybe not in tech, but I'm sure the skills that are taught there would be applicable across all areas of someone's life.
Right. And thank you again so much for that. I have a quick question though. I
Mm-hmm.
know, correct me if I am wrong.
Okay.
Um, Last summer,
Mm-hmm.
you guys partnered with the youth worker from Deriso to have a summer camp. And was it about robotics? Correct me if I'm wrong. There was some robotics.
Yes. So last year, that wasn't exactly. I guess you could consider it an Optronics initiative because I was involved, but that was the inaugural UFOCA camp
Okay,
for
so if
Viewford
you
North and Derry. So
yes, so
yes,
if you've been involved in that, that's the main point about it. You've been
yeah.
involved as a woman in tech. How was that experience? Even opening up with persons younger than you, was it a hard process getting persons to learn and understand?
Well, no, I think I had a great time. The students had a great time as well. We didn't just do robotics, we did graphic design, we did photography. We had some people come in and speak to them, not just about those topics, but also about soft skills
Right.
like leadership, communication, conflict resolution. And I think it was a really good experience. Simply because I met a lot of children that I didn't even know were in my zone. So they came out for that, and I really
Right.
appreciate that from them. And I just think that had I started the job earlier, I would have gotten a lot more children because they just kept on coming. Like as the time went on, one day we had this number, the next day we had this number.
Always the case.
Yes, yes. But I started the job a month before, so they didn't have much time to know about it and come out, but they still did that and they enjoyed themselves. So I think it was a good initiative.
And what would you say was the outcome? Would you say that persons maybe after that summer camp would be able to use that knowledge as they continue to grow?
Yeah, I would definitely say they're able to use that knowledge. I didn't do any like externally certified courses with them, but that is something I'm considering for future camps, just so that they could take those certificates and actually get them certified or have them to use like with their job applications and stuff.
Okay, thank you so much, Anaki. And a question that I am curious about again. I know that you guys have had so much going on, and
Mm-hmm.
it is actually one of the most well-known tech businesses in St. Lucia right now, run by young persons.
Mm-hmm.
When you speak about young persons in technology, the name always pops up.
Mm-hmm.
So, mind telling us some of your greatest achievements within the business?
Mine personally or the business?
A shared amount. Why not?
Okay, I would say one of my biggest achievements within the business is managing projects of great proportions. And by that, I mean,
Yeah.
yes. So I would say it's really definitely helped me to grow. It's definitely helped me to find skills that I didn't know I had. It has stretched me past my boundaries of what is comfortable, but I think that's important because without that, you don't really grow. You don't really know, like, learn anything new because you're stuck in the same place the entire time. I've met a lot of new people. I'd say another thing that I really enjoyed was when I got to travel.
All right.
I like traveling, so getting to travel for work, yeah, that was just excellent. When it comes to the business itself, I would say that I'm really proud of the amount of students that we've upskilled from the time of conception up until now. I'm proud of how it's going. I'm proud of the initiatives that we have coming up. I'm proud of how accessible we're making STEM education for students, but I'm also proud of how accessible we're making web and app development and prototyping for St. Lucians. I'm happy that, this is something that we're able to do, and I'm happy that we're able to do it right now while we still have the time, while we still have the energy.
Okay. Thank you again so much, Anaki. And I just want to take that time though to just encourage you guys as a business
Hmm.
again solely
From a business to a business.
yes, from a business to a business. You can say that. Just keep on doing what you do. Again, it is interesting to
Mm-hmm.
see. I am not so good with the technology stuff. So now I definitely know where I could go and who I could
Mm-hmm.
contact. And so I am definitely proud of you guys. So I want to just say keep up the good work and keep sharing that knowledge. It is
Mm.
nice to see that you guys are in the community developing young persons during the summer. Most persons don't like using the summertime, but it is nice to see that you guys take up that initiative every summer. And I want you to just keep on doing what you do.
Oh, definitely.
Now, you made a statement a while ago that it helps you stretch past your boundaries. So, my
Mm.
question, would you say that you getting involved um, took you out of your comfort zone?
It did. It did. My first involvement in robotics, that was where it all started, was something at the time, like, I didn't even know robotics was a thing. You told me robotics competition. I was like, what are you talking about?
Right?
What does that mean? But I still went because it was a decision that had to be made quickly, and I believe that you should always just take the opportunity. You'll figure it out as you go. I mean, I don't do it so often now, but at the time, again, I had the time, I had the energy, I had, the privilege of exploring
Right?
interest like that. So I went, I found out a lot of things. I saw how far behind the Caribbean is compared to other countries when it comes to our picking up of the technology and integrating it into our lifestyles, into our how we teach, into how we grow. And when I came back, I ended up back in the same technology thing again. I was an official for hackathon. I think that was where I met the principal at the time of Super Comprehensive Secondary. That's why I met her for the first time. And then by the next year, they had a math teacher opening, and I ended up over there. But they also taught robotics at the school, and that was one of the things that I really enjoyed. Shout out to the original robotics club of Super Comprehensive, Twinkle, Caden, Marbles, Mia, I don't even remember who else, Vittori,
Victoria.
Randolph, all of them. These
Right?
students, I was good at a certain, I had experience with a certain kit for robotics, but these students, the Lego Mindsums kit that they had at the school, they were above and beyond the fit. Like, they can do things that I will not be able to explain to you at this point in time. So I'm really proud of them as well, because they took that one experience that they got at the beginning and they just ran with it. They made the most out of it. And I
Nice.
think that's what we should all be doing when it comes to opportunities, not just in tech, but just in life in general. When an opportunity comes your way and you see that it's a way to not just better yourself, but also maybe make the world better or make the place around you better, you should always just try to do so.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Anna-Kaye. And while you're on the line with that, though,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to persons, not just young persons, persons in general, who might have had the same personality like yourself, who's very quiet and shy, and basically, when it comes to comfort zones, they had to step out of it, but they're a bit afraid. What would you
Mm-hmm.
say to persons of that sort?
And just do it. There's You just have to bite the bullet. You cannot stay doing the same thing all the time and expect things to change. So if you're afraid of public speaking, for example, I think that's something a lot of people have trouble with. You're afraid of public speaking. When I started actually doing like speeches or speaking to people, I used to have to sit down a couple days before, write down points. When you write out a few paragraphs, practice in the mirror,
Right.
and then when you actually go, you could speak to people. But I'll chalk that up to two things. One, I wasn't used to actually speaking and engaging with people, and on the other hand, I was still new to the field, so I think I still had to build up, that information and experience before I could speak comfortably about it. But that's the only way you get better at things, is to practice. And if you don't step out of that comfort zone and practice, you're never going to get better, no matter what people tell you. When they tell you, oh, it's okay, you can just stay over there. No, you have to go and you have to try. And even when you don't get it the first time, you have to continue trying until you get it. You
Right.
cannot fear failure. Failure should be something that you welcome, because now you know that that's a way that doesn't work. So you can try something else and see if it works.
Thank you so much for that, Anarchy. And of course, to those of you listening to us both via Facebook and radio right now, you are hearing it from Anarchy, and she's telling us that we should just do it. For me, it's not so hard, but for others, it would be a little more difficult to do
Yeah.
it. but she's just encouraging us to practice as well. So if you know there is maybe an opportunity out there that you have your eyes on, try to get there, practice, and of course, with time, you will get better and you will be able to step out
Yeah,
of that zone.
I'd definitely say, even if you know you might not be able to just jump off that cliff and get into it, you could also try baby steps. So even maybe for students, something as simple as leading morning prayers or singing a song, that's good ways to build up that comfort around speaking in public and speaking to people.
Yes. And okay, we're coming down with time.
Mm-hmm.
And two more questions that I really want to ask you this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
One, um, knowing again that this year is known as the Year of the Youth.
All right.
So that means everything should be focused on the youth, mainly. Um, what do you think can be done by the government of St. Lucia in order to boost technology?
That's a very big question.
And
But I
there's a
guess we
lot they
could
could do.
start.
So let's break it down.
I
So
guess
what do
we could
you
we could
think they
start.
can do
Mm-hmm.
in schools? Let's start with schools.
Oh,
We'll focus on the
we'll not
schools
finish
and
it
then we'll.
today.
So just give us a few
Okay,
things.
so if we're speaking about schools, I would say one of the biggest deterrents to effectively using tech in the school is the Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if that's a government issue or if that's a service provider issue, but whoever it is, it needs to be resolved before we can move forward with actually using tech in schools.
Right.
Because if the Wi-Fi doesn't work properly, that accessibility, like actually accessing websites online, actually collaborating, actually watching videos and not having to spend twice the time of the video watching the video,
Right.
all of that would be resolved. So the Wi-Fi, I would say, but I think that they've made some initiative in that area already of providing um what do you call it, providing equipment in the schools, so outfitting smart rooms, putting up wi-fi hotspots where maybe there were none before, providing devices to children was a big one. But I also think that for anybody to use tech properly, they themselves need to be in a good frame of mind and in a good space. So I would say, while we look at tech integration in schools, let us not forget about the children themselves and
Right.
their health and mental well-being. A hungry child does not learn as effectively as a well-fed child. A tired child doesn't learn as effectively as a child who's gotten enough rest, and a child who is uncomfortable will not be paying attention in your class. So I also think one of the biggest ways to ensure that technology is integrated into schools is just making sure that our children are well taken care of and they're ready to learn. They're in a space where they're open to learning new things and open to putting themselves out there. They're not, uncomfortable or tired or hungry or sleepy, whichever one it is.
Thank you for that. And now we're going to move on to healthcare. I am I am very how can I say it? Skeptical when
Passionate?
it
Oh,
comes. No, I'm
skeptical?
not passionate, huh?
Oh, okay.
Because healthcare here for me
Mm-hmm.
is on a whole other level. So,
Yes.
how do you think we can use technology to boost and improve and better healthcare in St. Lucia?
Okay, well, one thing that would definitely make things faster is the digitization of health records. But you do need to be really careful with that because people's health records are very private information, and putting anything, like making anything digital, makes it available online, which means that you need to put measures into place to ensure that that information is not accessible by just anyone.
All right.
And you also need to put measures into place that if your security systems fail, you have measures in place to protect that information. If it's a situation like at GIS where hard drives were destroyed, you have backups of that information. Because imagine if I'm coming to the hospital for 10 years with a condition and we're finally getting down to what it actually is, and something happens and all my medical records for the last 10 years are gone. That would not just be devastating for me, But it would also make the doctor's job much harder, because now they don't have that previous record to rely on. So as much as tech in healthcare could make things easier, where they don't have to go through records to find yours, it would also make things more complicated, because the nature of that information would require a lot of care when digitizing it. Even the persons who would be uploading that information would need to be under NDAs or oath or whatever it is.
Okay. Thank you so much for that again, Anna-Kaye. And so far, you have been able to give us some very good ideas. And I'm hoping that persons with authority are listening, in authority are listening, sorry. And also our principals, persons in education, I'm hoping too that they're taking notes, some things that they could actually bring forward. I'm hoping that
I'm
in
sure
the
they've
future,
brought it forward.
we will see technology being used wisely in our schools, and even better. I do agree with you when it comes to the Wi-Fi and everything. I think that that is not even just with education, just society on a whole. In the workplace, it's terrible. I believe it if it was better, persons could have been a little more effective as well. So again, moving forward, I'm hoping that young women especially will take technology as something that they love and find themselves being passionate about it just like you. And so,
Okay.
Anna-Kaye, this afternoon, I just want to say a huge thank you to you for coming on and sharing with us all about you being a young woman in technology, and also about your tech business, Orbtronics, right? Is the name. So as we're ending again, just give us contact details as to how we could reach Orbtronics when needed.
Okay, so contact details for Orbtronics. The email would be info@orb.Tronics.com. The website would be orbtronics.co. The number is 4860469, and social media is Obtronics Limited.
Okay. Thank you so much again, Anna-Kaye. Thank you for coming on today. And we wish you the best as you continue to grow in technology, continue to share your knowledge with others, and big up to you and your team. Keep on doing the good work. And again, thank you. And to those of you who are listening to us both via Facebook and via radio, we want to say a huge thank you to you too for staying tuned in with us this afternoon. Like I said, we had with us Miss Anna-Kaye Boodho coming all the way from Viewfort. Right,
Yes.
coming all the way from Viewfort just to share with us about her being in technology and about her business. Use Optronics at your disposal for persons who are interested in getting prototypes and little ideas
Websites and apps.
done.
Yeah.
Like she mentioned, website, apps. Reach out to them on social media. She just provided you with contact details. So, of course, make it your duty, get your things done. Like she said, do it. Get out of your comfort zone. So, as you go out throughout the coming weeks, remember, last week, Bian told us that we should pursue it. And this week, Miss Boodho is asking us to do it. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon and, of course, do it and pursue it. Goodbye.
Welcome to Youth Voices with your host, Miss Edissa Eugene, where we focus on youth advocacy, youth empowerment in academics, entrepreneurship, sports, marginalized youth, and more. Tune in every Thursday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Youth Month 2022. Devant ensemble et toute jeunesse. Evolve. Growing youth for an inclusive and transformed society. Are you ready?
When I look